Okay, so exponent basics. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, the short form of that is what? 4 times 3, right? Equals 12. So what about 3 times 3 times 3 times 3? What does that equal? Well, 3 exponent 4. And if you multiply those together, that equals 81. So that's basically our exponent basics. So what we have here with 3 exponent 4, what do we call the 3? It's called the base. And the 4 is the exponent. What's the whole thing called? Altogether, it's called a power. We often call the exponent the power, and you'll hear me do that as well. Not technically correct, though. Okay? So, what we have here is we have exponential form. Let me put the form down below, just to save some space. Okay? And then we have repeated multiplication. And sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, that's expanded form. Okay, and that's what they mean by expanded form, is repeated multiplication. And then you have standard form. Okay, so exponential form would be 5 exponent 2. Then repeated multiplication would be 5 times 5. Then standard form would be 25. You'd multiply them together. Okay. Please take out your calculators. We're going to do some calculator work. You have to know how to use your exponent button, and you should know how to use your repeated multiplication form as well. So let's try this one. 8 cubed. 8 times 8 times 8. And standard form, what is it? 512. Okay. So let's try this one. 9 to the exponent 6. So repeated multiplication, don't touch your calculator, put it down. You always got to write first, you lazy buggers. Okay. So what I want you to do on your calculator, you're going to hit 9 and then your exponent button. Put your calculator down. Some of you, that's going to be an upside down V. Most of the new ones, that's what it is. Or it's going to be an X to the Y. Or it's going to be a Y to the X. And then you're going to have to press 6 and then equals. Please try, have a look at my calculator, team. Mine's a little old school. Okay, so some of you have this shortcut squared button. We don't want to use that today. We want to use this X to the Y button today. Okay, so I'm going to go 9 X to the Y 6 equals. There's the answer. Try it right now on your calculator. Make sure you get it. If not, come up right away. You have 5 seconds to do it. 4 seconds to do it. 3 seconds to do it. 2 seconds to do it. 1. If you didn't do it, come on up right away. Okay, any other issues? Alright, so now we've got to really play around with our calculator, and you have to know your calculator. Okay, sometimes they automatically put brackets on the bases. Some do and some don't. That's why I never enter a negative number on my calculator. Okay, because you don't know which one you have. So here's the test. I want to show you this. This is negative 2 in brackets to exponent 4. Don't touch your calculator yet. What's the expanded form of that? Because of the brackets, it's negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. Try that on your calculator, see what you get. You should all get positive 16. Is there anyone that gets negative 16? Okay. How'd you get negative 16? Try it again. You shouldn't have. Any which way. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you know why? Because you didn't put brackets in around the negative 2. Okay. So you have to put brackets in around the negative 2. Some calculators do it for you. Okay, so now you should know. Try this one, though. Negative sign 2, exponent 4. Now, the textbook likes to call this a negative 1 coefficient. The negative sign is not in brackets. So please correctly write down this, making sure that you have a coefficient. A lot of textbooks and websites you'll see won't have a 1, they'll just have a negative sign. The negative sign's not in brackets. Okay, there's no brackets. So the base is simply 2. Okay. Now your answer should be negative 16. Try that on your calculator. And now you'll really know whether your calculator adds brackets or not. So, what we also want to compare it to is this. Negative 2 exponent 5. Here we have an even exponent. Here we have an odd exponent. How many negative signs do you have now? 5. So what kind of final answer are you going to have? Yeah, you have to have a negative 32. Compare, right? Now if you have a negative 2 with no brackets, exponent 5, please write the repeated multiplication. Just take out a piece of paper, Sean, any notes. We don't have one for your turn. So for this one, it's negative 1 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 equals negative 32. Okay? Because there's no brackets, you could have transferred your negative sign there already. And that's because there's no brackets. So you always want to compare these 4 examples. Okay. These 4 examples are always being compared constantly. All right. So a couple things. Number 1, if there's brackets versus no brackets. Okay. So that's, for example, negative 5 squared, which equals negative 25, versus negative 5 squared, which equals positive 25. The reason? You need to understand how it expands. This is negative 1 times 5 times 5. This one, though, it's negative 5 times negative 5. Okay, so there's a big difference there with brackets versus no brackets. Okay, that's an important one. You have to understand what's the base. So for this one, you have a base. What's the base for each of them? What's the base for the one on the left? 5. What's the base for the one on the right? Negative 5. Okay, brackets make a big difference. Okay. Then the next, good. Any questions so far? All right. So the other thing we talked about was an odd versus even exponent. And we're going to bring this up again. Okay, the textbook doesn't really mention it outright, but if you have -2 in brackets to the exponent 3, the exponent is odd. Therefore, you will have a negative answer. Now, eventually, we're going to go to letters. So right now, with numbers, you can kind of cheat on your calculator. But for us, we need to really understand. I know it's going to be you're going to be going to letters. You have an odd number of negative signs. So right away, you could put down a negative sign. Versus -2 to the exponent 4. Now it's an even exponent. So you're going to have a positive answer. So this is one of those rules to memorize to help you out. Okay, we'll be talking about it more later in the unit, but the sooner you get this rule, memorize it, you're going to be much better. These two things in the boxes, we always test that because those are common mistakes. Okay, those are the big ones that we come up to and we find that they're being done wrong. All right, so make sure you have that down properly. This one, of course, is -2 times -2 times -2 times -2. Now, if we didn't have brackets, we wouldn't be talking about this, would we? If we didn't have brackets, we'd be looking over here on the left side. Okay, brackets versus no brackets and their different meanings. Okay, that's it. Get to work.